welcome back to the GSTL. Axiom-Acer took a pretty close match against Seoul yesterday, and today they're up against StarTale. Could StarTale beat this seemingly impossible-to-beat team? That's what we're going to find out today.
Yeah, and they have to do it without Bomber because he's currently in the US, so he can't play today. And yesterday was definitely a close call. Axiom-Acer had to rely on innovation twice to grant them this victory, but they are now solidly at the top spot of the standings. Here we have live on the picture. His team, of course, is going to rely on him today quite a bit. He has to play against Impact in a Zerg versus Zerg, so that's definitely something where he should be able to clinch out a victory. But Impact has surprised us in the past. He has shown some pretty cool games, so maybe he can do it here.
Yeah, definitely could be his time. And the ZVZ can be a matchup where things can go your way even if you're up against an opponent who has statistically shown in the past that he's stronger than you. So could go either way for sure.
Yeah, and we are starting things off today with the Zerg versus Terran, actually. MMA, he is, I don't want to say back to business, we missed him yesterday, but today the team is relying upon him, and he's the starting player for them, going up against Pat, a Zerg player for StarTale, who was able to get into the Challenger League the last time when we had the qualifier here in Korea. So definitely a player that has shown promise, but in the GSTL, not as successful as StarTale was hoping for.
Yeah. I'm really excited because today we have our rarest matchup, Terran versus Terran. We have not seen, I think, a single Terran versus Terran like in at least 2 weeks of GSTL. So that's a matchup we don't see very often. Not a whole lot of Terrans on, especially our most successful teams. And so getting to see not only a Terran versus Terran, but resurgence of maybe Hack. How has he been doing? That's what we're going to find out. And, of course, Innovation being Innovation himself. It's going to be a high-level match no matter what.
And the best thing is we have the whole thing on Fruitland. This is actually game number 2 today.
Yes.
And if you look at the maps today and also the player matchups that we have, then it could be a very close thing today. It depends a little bit on players like Ryang and Alicia, how they are able to do in their matchups. Of course, on the StarTale bench, we have players like Avenge that have shown us great performance in the individual league, also a couple of awesome games in the team league. But can they perform today against their opponents? StarTale really has to rely on these players since Bomber is not here. But before we're going to jump into today's match, let's have a quick look at yesterday's results.
Yeah, take a look. Remind you guys how close it was yesterday with the 4-3 Innovation coming out in the ace match in an epic Terran versus Protoss. Against Deer and not Youngju.
Exactly. Against Trap, actually.
Against Trap, actually, yeah. We expected Deer, but it was Trap, so...
Yeah. So Innovation in the last set against the Protoss player, not against Youngju. Youngju, of course, in the first game against Innovation. Making a pretty solid stand against the Terran player, but Innovation's Terran versus Zerg is just way too good. He's definitely in a different league, so there was no surprise when Innovation took the match. But Seoul doing very, very well, and it was a very close call.
Yeah, really, really close indeed. And this puts Axiom-Acer at 6-1. They have already clinched the spot in the finals. And today it's really all about pride and just getting that indicator even more ridiculously high than it already is. They will not have to play in the playoffs.
Yeah, for StarTale, on the other hand, I mean, there's not a lot that can happen to StarTale right now. But they, of course, want to win it and want to make sure that they get a pretty good shot at maybe even taking second place this season.
Yeah, and don't forget that the higher you get seeded into the playoffs, the better that goes for you. So always want to finish as high as possible. And also there's the pride element I talked about earlier. As you can see the lineup of these two teams, StarTale just has in general and has for the longest time basically had the biggest lineup of players to choose from. They have so many Zergs they can rely on, several Processes, and even 3 Terrans. So really, really solid. Obviously Bomber not being here today does take away from that.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be one of the concerns here for the coach, that he can't rely on Bomber in any of the matches, and also we might go into a potential ace match, and then Bomber is always a very solid choice. The last time they sent out Life, who let them down a little bit, not only in the regular matches where he lost this game, but then also in the ace match where he couldn't perform as he wanted to. Hack and Avenge here,
sharing a moment together.
Definitely true. And yeah, for Hack, of course, going to be a pretty tough battle today, going up against Innovation and Terran versus Terran. Definitely not unbeatable, but a strong opponent to face. And he has the lineup for StarTale.
Yeah, exclude Bomber from the list, but everyone else here you see could potentially come out in an ace match, even if they're not listed in the match itself. Don't be fooled by Golden being listed as a Protoss. Only Avenge and Panic on this lineup, actually, Protoss players. We did have temporarily Balloon on the lineup as well, but he's no longer listed.
Yeah, so. He's not longer part of the team. Yeah, as far as I know, he retired, which is actually kind of sad since he was able to go into the Challenger League once. And it looked like he might be one of the players that is just going to develop over time and might be able to just solidify his position in the Challenger League. But he dropped in the first game already and then apparently didn't see a future. Yeah. As far as I can tell, at least, that is.
You know, maybe we'll see some new blood in Team Epic next year, and even maybe towards the end of this year as that team starts to come together right now, led by former StarTale Observer Legend himself. So
I'm still wondering if he made up this team name only because he wanted to be Epic Legend.
Yeah, there's always like there's certainly some possibility of truth to that.
Here we have, of course, Axiom-Acer, Innovation, Impact, and all the rest. MMA today being the starting player, and Olivia Wong, the manager, currently staying at the team house here with the team once more. Crank, the player coach, yesterday, the starting player who was able to give them the first victory. And it was actually a very important match that he was able to win there.
Yep, there's a shot of him. Always a smile. You know, if there is to be a Coach of the Year award, I think it definitely goes to him right now. Not only just doing well as a player and coming out and leading his team in that sense, but obviously some sort of leadership that he's doing is getting his team win after win. And there's MMA, who will be playing in our first match. They did not play yesterday.
Innovation looks a little bit, I don't know, not really angry, but he looks like not too happy right now. Or maybe just a little bit tired, I don't know.
Maybe he's not looking forward to playing a TBT.
That could also be the case. And here, of course, we have our matches for today. Fruitland going to be the map for the Terran versus Terran that we just mentioned, with Hack versus Innovation. Live against Impact is also going to be a very pivotal match here. It's going to happen on Frost. And then we have very important games with Panic versus Ryung. Panic definitely a bit the underdog here, but he has shown us a couple of good games this season. Might be able to take a game with Ryung, who was not that successful so far. Lost a game against Protoss yesterday. Against Dia, on the other hand, the current champion in the Premier League here in Korea. And that's, of course, a very different opponent than Panic.
Yeah, I have to say that a lot of people, I've been reading netizens' reactions to seeing the lineups. A lot of people feel like Axiom-Acer could actually get the 4-0 if things go their way in several of those opening matches. And it's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that StarTale will at least take one or two of the matches.
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, if I look at the Zerg versus Zerg, then I would definitely give Impact a chance against Life. But Life is still the favorite player. It's not like Impact doesn't have a chance of taking that match, but just from the names, from the success that they had in the recent past and the performance in total in Heart of the Swarm, you have to give the edge to Life. But it is the best of one, and Impact has shown us some really great skills. He's training with the team quite a bit. On the other hand, you have to mention that he doesn't have really someone who can practice Zerg versus Zerg with him inside the team.
Yeah, that's true. He's going to have to rely on practice from other teams.
Yeah.
Something that I know that Axiom-Acer has to rely on from time to time, especially when it comes to Zerg players, since even before Impact, they didn't have Scarlet in Korea for a really long time, so they'd have to seek out other Koreans to practice with.
Yeah, one of the things that I want to see today is if MMA actually wins his match, the opening match against Pet, that we might even see in a new ceremony. In my personal opinion, he's still the one who has the top spot in ceremonies this season, with the Lemon ceremony that he made the first time he played on Fruitland. But so far, the team's not really too eager to get that ceremony award. I'm a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I'm a little bit shocked that we haven't seen more players getting into, especially some of the players like Ryung taking wins. Although, to be honest, Ryung very recently has not had so many wins as you might expect. He's been having a bit of a tough time in this format, just happening to get unlucky and hitting really, really good opponents.
He didn't get the wins that he wanted, and he was always talking about preparing a ceremony, but then he didn't show us anything. We had players in the past, like for example Hyun, who is currently not part of the GSTL lineup, who would definitely have shown us a pretty big ceremony. But even players like Avenge have been talking about preparing maybe a ceremony for one of the upcoming games. I suggested to Olivia and also to Crank that they should go for a team ceremony the next time they win. So far they still have to deliver, but it might be something that they prepared for the day, because as we mentioned before, they are already in the finals.
Yeah. Speaking of Hyun, man, I want to see Hyun back in GSTL. I want to see Quanic in the GSTL, man. That's what needs to happen.
It would actually be nice if we have that next season. That would be great. Here we have Life, and well, Life last time lost 2 of his matches, so he has to redeem himself here.
Yeah, he lost his match, and then he lost again on the ace match, and that's a really, really rough feeling.
You know, talking about the ace match, I feel StarTale is today in a position where they have a very, very difficult time in a potential ace match, because the problem for them is that we have Innovation on the Axiom-Acer bench. So sending out Life against Innovation sounds like a pretty cool matchup, but it's the best matchup that that Innovation actually has. So it's going to be very, very difficult for the coach to make a choice, since Bomber is not here in the studio. He is currently in the US. So who do you send out? Do you rely on Life and send him up against Innovation, or do you just try to maybe get another player a chance? We could, for example, see Avenge has shown us good games against Terran in the individual league, but is he really on the level where he can beat Innovation? I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, that's what everybody's wondering right now, and I'm really happy, by the way, that everyone who's down there actually came to the studio and brought signs.
Yeah, a lot of fans actually, foreign fans that we have here. Thanks for coming down, guys.
Yeah, and it looks like he can speak Chinese, and that's very impressive. So I have to say that's impressive that you can speak Chinese. And we got some more fans here. There's just fans all over the place. A lot of foreign fans coming around here internationally.
Today's a pretty cool match. I mean, we have StarTale here, even though Bomber is not in the studio, but with Life and everyone else.
Uh-oh, Shy fans. I saw you earlier with that iPad. Well, that's one way to hide, is to just look at your iPad calmly as if nothing is going on. I hope that she's making it cheerful that we get to see a little bit later on that iPad.
Life's girlfriend is in the studio as well. I saw Olya and talked to her real quick, so she's currently supporting Life. Maybe that was exactly what was missing the last time that StarTale sent out Life. So let's hope that she has a good influence on him and will give him the luck and also the skills that he needs to not only prevail against Impact, but maybe bring us to an ace match and then face off against Innovation. I would really like to see that matchup. It sounds like pretty epic. You know, Innovation going up against Life. If we have an ace match, that would personally be the dream match that I want to cast. But it's just going to be so tough for Life to face off against such a beast in the matchup.
Yeah. You know, I would like to see instead, actually, though. I mean, I want to see Life, but because of the Innovation's TVZ, I feel like using a Protoss player like Avenge might be the better choice. Avenge has a special build prepared for Tristram, which is going to be our final map. And he could make something work. You know, against Innovation's style, if he studied it yesterday in his match against Trap, you could look at this and say, maybe I want to actually go Colossi before Storm and actually try to get a decent Colossus count up and then fight you with that against your aggressive Marauder style.
There are definitely a couple of things that you could do there. We could also see a completely different player than Innovation. He's, of course, the kind of logical choice since he is still the best player on the lineup, but maybe another player just wants to be the star player today and be just the ace player and ask the coach, listen, Innovation got his chance yesterday already. Can I get my spot in the limelight?
Yeah,
for example, MMA, just like saying, you know what, I didn't play yesterday. I want to play not only the first match today, but I want to get a shot in the ace match, if it comes to that.
For them, they've already really solidified a great spot in, I mean, they're in the finals. I mean, this match is all about pride for them. And at the same time, Innovation has also pretty much secured his first place spot in the individual winnings. And if he wins his match, then he'll be at 10 wins. And if he plays again, he'll be at 11. So it's kind of almost overkill to put him out there. Even if he's like, hey, I want that money for the first place, he's pretty much already gotten it anyways.
There's kind of nobody anymore in the standings that can actually catch up to Innovation in individual rankings. We saw that Symbol was close for some time, but then with the 2 wins yesterday for Innovation, he's currently at 9-1, and that is pretty tough to beat.
Yeah, if Symbol gets 2 more wins and Innovation loses every other match that he plays, then he'll still be down because of all of his losses. So
it's going to be pretty tough to actually lose that spot that he currently has in the individual ranks, especially if he's able to win today.
Yeah,
if he takes the match against Hack, then he's at 10-1, which is just an insane win ratio. He's currently at 90% wins in the GSTL Season 2, and that is just fantastic. I mean, having such a strong player on your lineup is always so just comforting because, you know, this is like basically a guaranteed win.
Yeah. I was hoping that was going to be the iPad behind us that we saw, but it was not.
I didn't actually see.
It was a Korean cheerful. It was kind of covered by my head, so I couldn't really see what it said, but I'm waiting for that iPad cheerful. You know, I was like, when I got my iPad and my first tablet, I was like, I wonder if I'll ever make a cheerful with this if I ever have a chance, but I never got a chance to.
Yeah.
I don't like markers. I'm not good with those, but like if I finger, I can make it look good.
Well, I would never go for one of those because I don't like iPads and I don't like Apple, so for me that would be like more of an Android tablet.
But if you had like another type of tablet, you could do this.
I have one. I have an Android tablet. Buy Android, guys. iPad, Apple.
By the way, that new Facebook Messenger app update today, man, it looks really Apple-y, and you know, I like iOS stuff, but I don't know about
I'm not sure if I like that style that they have right now. I downloaded the update for the app today, and I was a little bit weirded out. It was like, well, this looks different. But well, going into game number 1 today, we have a Zerg versus Terran, as mentioned before, with Pat, the starting player here for Team StarTale. He goes up against a strong opponent, against MMA, who has a pretty crazy win ratio in the matchup as well.
Yep. And Pat, I gotta say, he's only played 4 matches in the GSTL. He's 1-3. He did really well in a previous qualifier for the Challenger League in Korea, but honestly, I don't know how much I like his chances here against a very, very talented, very experienced player, MMA.
He's the underdog. You know, we talked a lot about the statistics of Innovation yesterday. If you just look at the win percentage, then MMA is even a little bit better than Innovation in the matchup. But MMA also played a lot more games against foreign Zerg players. He has a much smaller sample size than Innovation. So in terms of like who is the best Terran versus Zerg player out there, I would still give Innovation like the upper hand. I don't think that MMA can contest that even with this 83% win ratio. He has only 31 maps played. If you compare that to Innovation, where I think has like 70 played, this is just a sample size that makes the entire win ratio so much more awesome. But still, for Pat, this is of course not really a good sign. Going up against a player who is strong in the matchup, who has a sick win ratio, and also quite the winning streak over the last few weeks, it's definitely a tough challenge. And everybody expects MMA to at least dominate the match here and take the first point for Axiom-Acer. But Pat, with the recent run in the Challenger League, has maybe a strategy prepared that MMA isn't ready for and puts an end to the winning streak of MMA. We're going to find out now, I guess.
Yeah, Pat got to be focused here. This is so important for his team to get this early win if he can clinch it out, because they are the underdogs in this matchup. He's the underdog in this particular one set that he's playing against MMA. He's got a best of 1 on Derelict Watcher of all maps, so maybe he's got a special build plan. You know, we talked about this a lot. We saw just yesterday Youngju trying to play a special build against Innovation. If you get aggressive, you kind of shake up the metagame a little bit, maybe, just maybe, you can get an early lead.
Yeah, Youngju was actually playing a really cool game there. I really loved the the Overlord drop. Someone on Reddit requested a GIF. That would probably be like the longest GIF in StarCraft 2 history. But we might see something like that today. We're going to find out right now, because we're heading into game number 1, StarTale versus Axiom-Acer, the GSTL Season 2 2013. Brought to you, of course, by Carl and Wolf. And starting to the bottom left of the map, in red, we have the StarTale player. Here's
StarTale, Pet.
StarTale Pet currently in Heart of the Swarm with 4 map wins against Terran and 4 losses.
Game results.
And he is up. Oh, we have a game pause.
I heard that.
I heard that too.
So because I can't see anything except Pet's face right now, I can't tell you why.
Yeah, Pet rocking that Zoe keyboard that he uses. All the StarTale players use, and I think it's probably... Oh, there's Karam running to the booth.
Yep.
He's so handsome. Apparently MMA asked for a pause, and not quite sure what's happening. If he actually paused the game, then it looks like his keys are still working, that it might be a sound issue that happens every now and then.
Yeah, hopefully it's not a hotkey issue, or I'm going to have to chastise him later and tell him, like, listen, man, why are you not getting your hotkeys ready when you have, you know, almost infinity time to set that up before the
As
hand?
the first player, there's absolutely no excuse for not having your hotkeys ready. You have the most time to prepare in the booth. You can play a quick practice match if you want to. And it's really the hotkey setup. It is the hotkey setup, and of course he gets a warning for that, and, well, he deserves it. If
Listen,
as
actually,
the first player you don't
yeah.
get... he should get... Like, seriously, the first player, if he doesn't have his hotkeys ready, he should get 2 warnings. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, if actually, to be totally frank, if I was the first player and I for some reason forgot, and it was like revealed to everyone that it was a hotkey issue, I would be so embarrassed that it would affect my play for the rest of the game, because I would be like, oh my god, like everybody knows that I forgot to set up my hotkeys, even though I had the most time to set them up.
The only thing that I can really come up with is that maybe the client bugs out and you have to close it down, you restart it, and it doesn't really take the hotkeys over. So, but it's actually, it's really weird. I mean, we saw him in the booth already earlier, just preparing his gear and everything. For some reason, the hotkey is something that he did not realize. So we are going to the top right and introducing the player with his problems here, with the keyboard issues. It is, of course, for Axiom-Acer.
Acer MMA.
Acer MMA, and we do not have to restart the game. We can go and jump right in. And as I mentioned before, if you compare the statistics for MMA in this matchup to the ones of Pat, he has, of course, incredible chances and highly favored here.
Oh, he loves MMA.
With a lot of fans.
A lot of people do. You're going to fight for them. Yeah. Fight for him.
Loves MMA and apparently Team Liquid as well.
Yeah, I saw the guy to his left, or I guess to his right, to my left, said you must construct additional pylons. Not in this matchup.
Yeah, not in this matchup. But as I was saying, MMA with 31 maps played against Zerg and an 83% win ratio. Recent victories against Jaedong, Vortex, Nurchio, Starbuck, Yu-Gi-Oh! As well, and also against Snoot. He won against Yongju in the GSTL Season 2 this year as well. Lost against Haiva, Scarlet, and VIG on the other hand. So a great player in the matchup, very confident in his abilities to take down a Zerg player. But keep in mind that we had the recent patch as well, and that affects the Widow Mines especially.
Yeah, it certainly does. We saw just yesterday, though, if you have a lot of Widow Mines in this matchup still, the radius is reduced, yes, but they still do a lot of damage. They can kill a lot of Mutalisks if you're not careful with how you fly them.
It's just more about how the damage is actually done by a Widow Mine. So the farther away you are from the initial impact point, the less damage the units get.
Yeah.
So if you are a Zerg player and you have like a lot of Zerglings or like Banelings, it can definitely happen that you just save a few of your units. But at the same time, Widow Mines are not really bad. What basically was the idea of the developers here is that they wanted to make sure that Widow Mines are maybe used a little bit less and tanks a little bit more often, since they also reduced the fire rate of a tank. So it shoots a little bit faster right now. And that could lead us into a scenario where we have Terran players starting to mix up Widow Mines and also a couple of siege tanks.
By the way, he's pulling a Youngju here. He's actually going to be doing the same Zergling aggression on this two-player map to try to force a lift on that command center until the first few Hellions come out, and he's doing it very quickly here.
One Marine is not going to be enough.
No, we saw this yesterday.
If speed kicks in, this is of course a heavy commitment. You commit a lot of lava to this aggression, and that means that you cannot produce as many drones as you would like to, but at the same time you can put so much pressure on the Terran player that he's in a very uncomfortable spot where he might lose SCVs, he might lose even the bunker, because there won't be any SCVs for the repair.
No, there will not. And the wall is at least so far tight, but he sees 4 lings, and for him that's actually probably going to be a pretty telltale sign that that's something a little bit weird is coming forward here. Just going to run past.
Speed didn't kick in yet either, and here we go. That's not
now he can sandwich some Marines, though, if he micros correctly, and he goes for it. He gets one of them. The second one will get in the bunker, though.
Well done. That was really well done. He gets one of them. He might force a cancel here on the reactor. That would be great for him, but the SCV is already in position for the repair, and of course the add-on finishes, and now he can go for double SCV repair, even if need be. Moves down with the second one, and the only thing that the Zerglings can do now is chase those SCVs off the mineral line, but with the bunker ready and one Marine still in there, it's not a whole lot less.
He's making so many Zerglings right now. This is not just the same kind of commit we saw yesterday. It's a much bigger commitment. He's going up to, it looks like about 25 to 30 Zerglings here.
He's smelling blood in the waters right now. He saw that and now he's trying to move in, but with a Hellion in the game, it's going to be a little bit of a problem for him. He needs to take that Hellion out, and that's exactly what he tries to do. The rest of the Zerglings already running in, and here comes Pet. He wants that victory. The SCV is repairing the bunker already. A couple of the Zerglings chasing down the Hellion, the rest of the reinforcements streaming in right now. The first SCV is already going down, but still repairing that bunker, and the Hellion with the really good micro from MMA is still alive.
And the second Hellion arrives here, and he is going to clean this up, no problem, losing very few SCVs, only 3, and MMA is kind of laughing in his face here. 3 SCVs for 28 Zerglings, the larva that he used for that. I mean, he's basically saying, all right, well, now I have tech and you don't, and my economy is at a higher level than yours.
Horrible position for Pet right now. He basically did no damage whatsoever with this aggression. He didn't even kill a single Hellion. He was able to take down a worker, I think. But now he's basically on the same amount of harvesters. Never what you want to happen as a Zerg play against the Terran. He's 2 bases against 2 bases, just starting his third. The tech already coming in with the Banshee and the Cloak ability. And he lost 700 minerals, and he didn't kill anything here. For MMA, this is just so great.
Yeah, and I mean, if you consider the 700 minerals for that, plus the 700 minerals he wasn't getting from drones that we would have been mining from, it's just a terrible position for him. And now, while he's trying to drone, he's going to be dealing with army units. He's going to be dealing with tech units. He has Hellions coming right down his pipe, and he's got nothing to deal with them. If he makes more Zerglings, that means even less drones for him. He's not mining from his third base yet. He's got decent creep spread, though.
Yeah, the creep spread is good, and that will help him to catch those Hellions eventually. The Queen's, of course, helping against the Hellions as well, but the Banshee is going to become a big, big problem. And MMA is heading into that third base right now. He's starting with Stim, and he is absolutely safe.
Yeah.
Has a wall at the front. There's nothing that Pet can do right now. But Pet actually building 20 additional Zerglings, so he's staying on a pretty low economy. Has no Baneling Nest, so he can't bust through anything here, but he wants to claim map control and chase those Hellions away.
The Banshee has not been spotted. He does not know it's coming, and he also doesn't know about Cloak. With no lair here and no Spore Crawlers, Cloak is going to become a very big problem very quickly as soon as it finishes in a few seconds here, but he has to keep the Banshee alive first. He's already lost a third of the hit points there. Hellions may try to go for a run by. There's way too many Zerglings, though. It's not going to happen. and a few more Hellions just being rallied across the map. But like you said, MMA is so safe here. He's not really over-committing to this. He's just putting some pressure on, and all these Lings are only useful defensively.
MMA's micro in the last fight was really great. I mean, the defense of him was absolutely stellar, and now he's moving across the map with so many Hellions. And the Queens are already starting to lose a lot of health. One of them is down, the second one being attacked. The Hellions are going to have a field day here. Yes, there's a lot of Zerglings, but if the Hellions get good shots off, the Zerglings will just be grilled within seconds.
Yep, and not in that interview series either.
Yeah. That is not a Thorin in there with you that we are going to see here. This is the Korean barbecue style.
Exactly. And here come the Banshees, going to continue to do damage. You saw this yesterday. Banshees, if you have two of them, they one-shot a drone as long as they both fire on the same target. The Queen here just outside of range of that Sport Crawler, and he's actually sending drones at the worst possible moment. He's got them rallied there, losing so many. And this is going perfectly for MMA, who has the same worker count. He's been able to maintain that this entire game. And like you said, that's never what you want as a Zerg player.
And he plays it calm and collected. Pet is just trying to stabilize here, but he is fighting against Banshees everywhere. Here come the Zerglings running and going for the surround, and MMA for a second not paying attention, and that could be his demise here. He's losing all of the Hellions. Great move by Pet, and MMA is being punished for not paying attention to his Hellions.
And then, of course, loses the Banshee for also not paying attention to that. He saves one of them down to very low hit points. He needs to raise the depots! Oh my god. You know, that's actually a smart choice that Pet made, not trying to run up there, because had MMA been paying attention, he would have easily shut it down, but he did not have those selected. He does have one hotkeyed, as you can see if you look at his hotkeys at the bottom right, so maybe that was the one.
Yeah, that was actually exactly what Pet needed here, and now looking at it, Pet is on 3 bases, MMA of course also taking his 3rd, and the Zerg player starting to head into Spire, going into a Baneling Nest. Even the Roach Warren on the way right now that can help him against additional Hellions. But that kind of brought him back in the game. He's still in a position where MMA was, of course, in a very comfortable spot to get all of his upgrades out, to get just the entire tech. We see him here with the double engineering bay heading into 1-1. But Pet is already on those upgrades. He's heading into +2/+2. So with all those Hellions and the Banshees lost, suddenly Pet is back to business.
Yeah, and with a cancel on the Roach Warren, it's very clear he feels that he's not going to need it. He's like, wait a minute, I already killed the Hellions. What am I worried about? He's trying to kill that one Overlord. Overlord is trying to get in the safe zone, but does not work out for him. And we're going to have a scan. A ton of creep will be cleared here, but I got to say, Pet's creep spread has been pretty impressive in this first game here, and as a result, even though he scans once, there's still so much more creep, and the creep going to the 4th is going to link that up nicely.
The 4th base has been started. What of course works in MMA's favor here is that he has a massive army supply lead over his opponent. So the tech definitely in favor of Pet, just a little bit in regards to the upgrades now. But also, if you think about the Mutalisks, we are 13 minutes into the game, so the Mutalisks are not too late, but they're definitely delayed by the Terran player. But MMA doesn't really find that opening anymore that he had earlier. He's trying to find something with those Medivacs, but the Zerglings are already in position. But Pet is still a tad behind here. He needs another small victory to really put the pressure on MMA and turn things around.
I think MMA, if he micros correctly against the Banelings, can kill this hatchery with this army. And the cancel timing here is at the last second. He's not going to have it. And with the Banshee actually controlled well and attacked those Banelings. Could have done a lot more. Now the Muser here, he has to leave, and that's a great save on the hatchery. Had he lost it, would have hurt him so much.
But we have another attack at the 3rd base. There is the drop already. 2 burrowed Widow Mines are immediately there. The Zerglings trying to rush in, and MMA already preparing another push at the 4th of his opponent. Here come the Widow Mines with their shots. A nice pickup here on those 2 Medivacs. And a few Zerglings go down, but MMA still not doing the damage that he wanted to go for. He did not kill the hatch, he did not kill too many Harvesters, but now suddenly he finds the Overlords, and that supply blocks Pet.
Yeah, looks like those Overlords are probably still on the Mutalisk rally by mistake, and 2 Overlords go down. That's really painful. MMA has already filled his supply. He's at 200 out of 200. He's got all the depots he's going to need for this game, but you know, that's more minerals that Pet will have to spend on Overlords. He wants to spend on Mutalisks. He wants to spend on some defensive structures. The creep, still stellar by him, but MMA's army is getting out of control. 40 army supply up right now.
And another Overlord en route. He takes it out immediately. Another supplier block. This is really becoming a problem for Pet. He's moving in with those Zerglings now, trying to just catch those Marines, but the reinforcements for MMA are already there, and with the stiff, they can do so much damage. The splits are there, the focus on the Banelings, and everything is gone. Only the Mutalisks survive, and they are chased away immediately. Another Overlord on his way to death. This is not looking good for Pet, not at all.
This may end up being game. The splits here are, dare I say it, perfect against the Banelings, and that's going to be all she wrote. Mutalisk cannot fight this army. Even though it's a small count of Marines, there's just too much firepower. More Marines rallied in here. And as we saw, Widowmines, yeah, they got nerfed, but they're still damn good, and they killed that huge clump of Banelings.
Pet's Overlords are like lemmings trying to throw themselves off a cliff. They always rally into the Marines, and they all die. They have a death wish here. Emo Lords everywhere looking for trouble, and MMA is happy to deliver. The reinforcements moving in again. For now, he's actually pushed back, and a few of those medivacs will go down. Pet is trying whatever he can to hold,
no.
and the supply is even at this point. MMA overextending himself a little bit.
Yeah, way too much here. The Mutalisk actually narrowly escaped death from some of the Widowmines. These Widowmines do not appear to be detected on the other hand, so it could be bad luck. We'll see. Oh, so close. He barely saves some of those Mutalisks, but they're actually all low on hit points. He's going to need some time to regenerate.
You know, it was actually pretty impressive with the second attack that Pet was able to just throw MMA back there. The connects that he had were really good, and now he's on the same supply. He actually takes a small supply lead against his opponent. Problematic is that MMA heads into the +3 attack upgrade already, and the +3 armor should follow soon. So over time, this will give him a huge edge. But still, 4 bases against a Terran of 3.
Yeah. And I gotta say, this situation for MMA looked like he had won the game, and I think he thought that way as well. And Pet, he kept fighting. He was the frog with the stork, that famous picture on the internet where the frog's trying to choke the stork.
Never yield, never surrender, and that's exactly what Pet is doing here. And MMA, I completely agree with you. I think he thought the game was already won when he took out all of the Zerglings and the Mutalisk retreated, but then the second wave cleared out his own army, and now he still has to put in a lot of effort to take down his opponent. Yeah. Especially since we now even see this attack for Pet. He goes straight into the infestation pit.
And I gotta say, the map awareness for Pet is excellent. Some of his overlords were definitely misrallied this game, but on the other hand, the overlords that he does have all over the map are spotting drops. He's sending his Mutalisks, his Lings over instantly to clear these up.
Think about the statistics that I quoted earlier. MMA with an 80% win ratio with 31 maps played, Pet with 50 with just 8 maps played. This is not really what you would expect this game when I quote statistics like that. Pet is doing a great job here, especially if you give his really bad start into the game. And now the Mutalisks are becoming a big issue. There are so many Mutalisks already in the match that missile turrets are just not going to cut it anymore. And we even have the armor upgrade nearly completed, so they can fight against turrets without a problem, even against slow Marine numbers. They are becoming a huge problem for the Terran player.
Oh, and actually, he may actually catch this MMA army. There's no way to run with this many Mutalisks. Looks like he's not going to be able to do it. He does come in and try to pick off a Marine here. And here come those Zerglings. The Widowmines are burrowed. Beautiful splits against them on the other hand. He does get some hits off on the Mutas, but he actually could have caught those medevacs had he microed a little bit better, but as it is, a few of those units for MMA get away, and he is continuing the attack. The creep spread continuing to slow him down as well. I'm really actually quite impressed with Pet's creep spread in this game. He's always got it continuing to go forward. It's always halfway across the map.
One of the things that we definitely have to mention again is that the Widowmine damage was changed. That helped the Mutalisks earlier on a lot. And here we go, the Banelings moving in. We have the Mutalisks just cleaning house here and chasing the opponent away. MMA still with the lead in the army supply, but he cannot fight this. There's just so much. The Widowmine's doing what they can, but there's so many Mutalisks that just take down Marine after Marine. The Thor finally coming into the picture, but I don't think that he can get the shots off that he needs.
Yeah, he needed like 1 or 2 more shots there to connect. He did not get him. This Widowmine shot going to do a little bit. This one might get 3 Banes.
Yeah, 2. Gets 2 of them. And you know, this is one of the good examples that we have. In the old patch, that would have definitely hit a lot more. So MMA relying heavily on the Widowmines here and is being punished for it a little bit, but also taking engagements that are very questionable. Yeah. But he is still ahead in army supply, and he is now on 3 attack upgrades and heading into the 3rd armor upgrade. For Pet, it will take a long time to get on the 3-3.
Really good targeting on the Mutalisks by MMA here. He's just whittling them down, and this time he will get the last of them.
He clusters too much. When you target with Mutalisks and you right-click, then you cluster too much, and the Thor is, of course, taking that chance and gets his area of effect damage off. You need to magic box the Thor, or at least take him down with Zerglings if you want to do that. Now that Pet lost this many Mutalisks, I think he lost his edge that he had. That was the one tool at his disposal where he could really do something against MMA, and now the Mutalisk numbers are down to 5, and therefore the mobility gone, relying heavily on Zerglings. I think it was a huge mistake fighting with the Mutalisk as he did and losing so many of them.
He's going to lose a Queen here as well. That one Thor always at the best spot, at the far away angle where he can get the shots off but also be protected by the Marines so he doesn't get surrounded. Knows that spot just so perfect right on the high ground here. This time a few Zerglings do connect with the Marines. He gets a bit of a surround there. but it doesn't matter because the base is gone. And now MMA knows his next target. His next target is the base to the top left. If he can take that one out, he really severely limits his opponent's income. He has now a 4th base secured and a 5th command center ready to move at his command.
He even has that planetary set up right next to the sensor tower so that he has this double protection. He sees everything that's walking towards him, and the planetary helps him out quite a bit. The Mutalisk numbers are increasing, but I feel it's already a little bit too late for him. 70 army supply against 130, and MMA, he is fed up with this. He's saying like, no, you're not going to win this game, but oh, he needs to split better than that.
Yeah, he needs a lot better than that. So many of his units being taken out, but it's just not enough.
These overlords, the waypoint is becoming such a massive problem.
What Creator is to observers, Pet is to overlords. That one Thor is still there.
At least 15 overlords in this game because of a bad rally.
Yeah, it's definitely like starting to cost him. And he tries to target some of these medevacs down, tries to bait one of the Widowmine shots at them. It's just not enough. The hatcheries in the main base starting to go down. He loses the macro hatch. And, I mean, MMA is in his main base now, and that's going to be game.
And the overall supply doesn't tell the real story here. Since we see this many harvesters for Pet, he had 80 drones at some point, and now we have 120 army supply against 40. This is definitely a game. Here's the GG, and MMA takes game number 1 against Pet.
Well played by MMA. Really nice defense. MMA overextending himself in the mid-game, but once the 3-3 was done and that early lead that he got himself, he was able to fall back on that, play defensively. And just the Mutalisk count got out of control, but once he started to handle that, then he was okay.
The problem for me, like, I have to say that Pet played better than I thought he would in this matchup. And against a player like MMA, he definitely he performed quite well. But the problem for him really was, besides the opening where he already fell behind, that with the Mutalisk he took fights that he shouldn't have. When he attacked a few of the Marines, he actually charged in with the Mutalisk, and then like just 5 seconds later the Zerglings finally made an appearance and moved in. At that time, a lot of the Mutalisks were already dead. Not all of them, but that was one of those things that he did several times. And if you have already like 20 Mutalisks in the game, you can be so mobile. You can just move in and take down the missile turret, go into the mineral line. You can play ping pong with the Terran player, force him back to defend with the Marines. But losing the Mutalisk is definitely something that you have to avoid at all costs. And he fought way too much with them.
Yeah.
I love the armor upgrade. That was really great. That helps him against the turrets, against the Thor, also against the Marines. Yeah. But you cannot take fights against 3+3 Marines. That just doesn't really work for him. So I feel he had a chance there. If he would have timed it a little bit better with the Zerglings moving in and then using the Mutalisk to just clean everything up.
There were a few times where he could have, for example, caught the 2 drops that were to the south and killed them with the Mutalisk. Had he targeted a little bit better, had he chased with some of his Mutalisk, would easily pick those medevacs off. And he did a little bit of damage with the Mutas, but I feel like there was a moment where he could have done a lot more. Could have tried to go and snipe add-ons on the main base and continue to harass, because MMA didn't have a lot of turrets, but instead he kept trying to use his Mutalisk to attack the army and try to harass, pick off medevacs, and he lost way too many of them.
On the other hand, it was a really fast-paced game, so keeping an eye on everything that was happening is really, really complicated. There are so many things happening on the map. In MMA, he attacked the 4th, he attacked the 3rd, he was trying to get into the main base, and Pet was really trying to keep up with that. The problem that we mentioned like 2 times in the game, that the Overlords were always moving into the Terran army, was a waypoint problem. And usually you always wanted to rally the Overlords back, but because there was so much stuff going on, he couldn't keep up with MMA's macro and multitasking.
No.
If he gets a little bit more experience and is able to do that, I feel he has a really good chance of winning such a best-of-1.
Yeah, I mean, look at how well he spread his creep, how he's constantly able to stay on top of that, for example. A lot faster than most Zergs. I mean, against that many Hellions with the opening he had to get all that creep out was really impressive.
I feel that MMA was a little bit surprised. He thought he had that game already a bit earlier, and then he lost his army and was like, oh, wow, you're actually much better than I thought. But the game, in the end, ends in favor of Axiom-Acer, and that brings them, of course, here in the well-deserved lead. And now it's time for the Terran versus Terran and Fruit that we've been talking about. Hack coming out for StarTale here.
Yeah, this is my match for the night to watch. This is going to be exciting. It's TVT, and we haven't seen Hack all too often recently. And something to consider is, of course, the map, Fruitland. Are we going to see that mech-oriented playstyle we've been seeing from most Terrans these days, or are we going to see Bio because you can get the lemons with a more mobile army that you can be aggressive with early on? Much more difficult for the meching army to get the lemons, and also, as a mech Terran, the minerals are not as useful to you as the gas. So we might actually see both players go Bio, which is a rare case nowadays in TVT, and that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be quite a good game, but of course Innovation is the favorite here to take it. And these are the two games where most people said, okay, we expect Axiom-Acer to take a quick 2-0 lead in the series, but Innovation has to deliver here. If he's able to do it though, then his team will once again be up with 2 points, and then it's up to players like Life to deliver. He's up against Impact in the next match in our Zerg versus Zerg, and definitely has a good chance there. But keep in mind, guys, that we are jumping into a quick 5-minute break before we start with game number 2 here at the GSTL. StarTale is up against Axiom-Acer today, and our next game is a Terran versus Terran with Innovation up against Tactics. See you guys in a few.